Hey, this is Ebony Mystique, and you're watching the Anthony Rogers Show. Yeah.
This is an Anthony Rogers Show exclusive.
So this song is the most popular song for our band. And I'm thankful for that. Even young people are into it again, so that's nice. It's called The Freshman. When I was young, I knew everything. And she, a punk who rarely ever took advice. Now I'm guilt-stricken, sobbing with my head on the floor. Stop a baby's breath and a shoe full of rice. No. Can't be held responsible, 'cause she was touching her face. I won't be held responsible. She fell in love in the first place. For the life of me, I cannot remember what made us think that we were wise and we'd never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe we'd ever die for these sins. We were merely freshmen. My best friend took a week's vacation to forget her. His girl took a week's worth of Valium and slept, and now he's guilt-stricken, sobbing with his head on the floor. Thinks about her now, how he never really wept, he says. Can't be held responsible, 'cause she was touching her face. I won't be held responsible. She fell in love in the first place. For the life of me, I cannot remember what made us think that we were wise and we'd never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe we'd ever die for these sins. We were merely freshmen. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Tried to wash our hands of all of this, and we never talk of the lack in relationships. How we're guilt-stricken, sobbing with our heads on the floor. We fell through the ice when we tried not to slip. We'd say, can't be held responsible, 'cause she was touching her face. I won't be held responsible. She fell in love in the first place. For the life of me, I cannot remember what made us think that we were wise and we'd never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe we'd ever die for these sins. We were merely freshmen. For the life of me, I cannot remember what made us think that we were wise and we'd never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe we'd ever die for these sins. We were merely freshmen. We were merely freshmen. We were only freshmen.
Bam, welcome back to the best show in the entire universe. My name is Anthony Rogers. I'm co-host Nikki Knightley. How you doing?
Sup, guys? That was cool.
I feel like a radio DJ. I'm like, oh, the verb pipe, freshman. You know, like old school radio DJ. But no, today's episode is pretty cool. Like they have the concept. Yeah. I found this author online that was he wrote this book, Portals to the Stars, Inside Stargates, Atlantis, and the Secrets of Ancient Egypt. He wrote a
Nice.
that's one that like stuck out to me for this like concept of this episode. His name is Mike Ricksecker. How you doing, brother?
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Anthony and Nikki. Really appreciate it.
No, appreciate you
Yeah,
coming
hell
on here.
yeah.
And
We love this kind of stuff.
Is this backwards for an author to go on a podcast? Is this like
I host my own podcast, so no, it's not.
just making sure, man. You wrote a lot of cool stuff, and I like the subject. Looks like hang on one second. Looks like our weather guy's here first. Like before we get into this real fast. How you doing, Frankie?
I'm doing great so far. And I'm also an author of book Be Prepared. Frank Don't Got Life, Weather, and everything.
Well, that's true. You're an author as well.
That's cool. I didn't know that you were an author.
Cool.
I'm an author
We
too.
can't see you. Your screen is black, Frankie.
Yeah, I think.
I'm just,
Oh, there
I'm
he
just,
is.
I just
There we go.
find
There
right
he
now.
is.
I'm an author of book Be Prepared. Frank Don't Got Life, Weather, and everything.
Very cool, man. Like,
Awesome.
what's the weather in St. Louis looking like this next couple like week or month or so?
Weather down in Auckland, New Zealand. They're getting this cyclone Tam. It's going to bring so much rain and wind. That's going to do a lot of damage. That's going to bring big waves crashing on beaches, shores in northern tip and North Island, New Zealand. North to Auckland, New Zealand. Auckland, New Zealand's getting high winds and heavy rain there right now. It's going to, this Wednesday, Thursday coming up, it's going to bring cyclone winds in Australia, New Zealand, in North Island part. It's going to bring some wind and rain in Gisborne, New Zealand, New Plymouth, New Zealand, Hamilton, New Zealand, Nelson, Greymount, New Zealand, Wellington, New Zealand, Hawke's Bay, Napier, New Zealand, all those places.
Very cool.
Wow,
Hey,
that was a lot of
hey.
information. Holy shit.
Then it brought a lot of rain in Sydney, Nova Scotia on Monday morning. Caused flood on the corner of Disco Street and Bridge Street in Sydney back on Monday morning. It was really bad, caused so much rain there. I'm down on Charlotte Street in Sydney, Nova Scotia right now. I got something to say. You got the link to my book.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Nice. What's your
What's
book
the
about, Frankie?
Be prepared. Frank Down got the life, weather, and everything.
What's the weather in St. Louis, Cleveland, and Los Angeles this week?
Los Angeles is dry or normal, and St. Louis is got cold air in St. Louis right now. It's going to warm up later on the week. Warm air, cold air fighting each other in St. Louis.
What about Los Angeles?
It's Los Angeles is going to be nice out in Los Angeles, but it's going to get cooler too.
Okay. How cold?
What,
It's going to be cooler temperatures in greater Los Angeles, California. Up around Los Angeles and weather there. 16. It's going to bring really cool temperatures in Los Angeles this weekend coming. In Auckland, New Zealand's getting so much heavy rain.
what's Cleveland look like next week?
In St. Louis, Cleveland, Ohio. Over in Cleveland, Ohio, then they got lots of rain hitting for Cleveland on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. It's going to bring rainy weekend in Cleveland, Ohio on Easter weekend.
Man, like that. So St. Louis has better weather than
Oh,
LA
Cleveland
and
and
Cleveland this week. That's fascinating. Wasn't expecting that one. Wasn't expecting that. That's crazy. So it's not raining here this weekend, Frank. You said St. Louis is not going to rain.
I'm from in St. Louis, Missouri. Lots of rain and really heavy rain hitting for St. Louis on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. Sunday is going to bring so much heavy rain in St. Louis, Missouri, because the cold air is going to hit down the central states behind that. It's going to bring really cold air there, right in there. It's going to bring high winds and heavy rain in St. Louis, Missouri. Auckland, New Zealand's getting high winds and heavy rain from Cyclone Tam.
Wow, we're all going to suffer then. That's good. That's good. I thought we had some good weather coming.
As
huh?
long
Then
as
it got
we
the
all
rain in
suffer
Sapporo,
together.
Hokkaido, Japan right now, too. And did you hear about this? And the weather in Sydney, Nova Scotia is nice outside right now. It's going to rain only overnight hours in the early morning in Sydney, Nova Scotia, where I'm at right now. And then it had some rain in Montreal. They got warm air, cold air fighting each other. Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And did you hear about this? You found my book, Be Prepared.
Yeah.
It's a radio.
I
Love
think I
it,
closed
love
that
it.
screen or something.
How about Dublin, Ireland late next week?
Yeah, Frank, you know what Dublin's like?
Over
What's that, brother?
Dublin, Ireland.
Yes, sir.
over in Dublin, Ireland. Then again, heavy rain tomorrow and Thursday and Friday and Saturday in Dublin, Ireland. Right now, Yakutsk, Russia's getting warmer, and Magadan, Russia's getting warm too.
Bam.
Man.
Nice.
And I heard that heavy snow warning for Magadan, Russia. And on Wednesday evening, overnight, it's going to bring a lot of snow in Magadan, Russia. It's going to warm up there this Saturday and Sunday coming up in Yakutsk, Russia. And the weather there is going to really warm up in Yakutsk, Ricksecker, Russia, and Siberia. Hey, Frankie. How you doing? Siberia's getting much warmer.
Saw, dude.
Didn't recognize on the street, Frank. That's it. Oh, yeah. Didn't recognize on the street.
What? What about Moscow, Russia?
Yeah, let's check out Moscow. So, what are like? This is
It's going to
international
get
weather.
summer
Dude.
like warm weather in Saturday, Sunday in Moscow, Russia.
So Moscow's got the good weather.
Then again, really hot weather heavy for Tokyo, Japan, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Tuesday coming up in Tokyo, Japan.
Nice.
That's kind of crazy. Nobody does an international weather report like that. That's awesome. Like, he's named like, and he knows all the places. Like he knows all the cities we're in. He knows all the countries. Like it's like that's impressive. That's impressive.
Lots of rain thunderstorms going on in Colombia right now in Venezuela and for the next few days, and including parts of Peru, parts of Bolivia, parts of Ecuador, and the Amazon rainforest, Brazil, and down southern tip of Argentina, warm air, cold air fighting each other right now. It's really dry in northern Chile in a desert area.
My buddy Joey said, "Great job,
cool.
Frankie," in the comments.
Sometimes I feel like certain storms will happen to kind of cataclysm certain spiritual cleansings, and like I feel like the weather has been quite crazy since the Age of Aquarius has begun. You know, I've noticed that it's almost kind of like the planet itself is going through its own ascension, and it's kind of like being disrupted, and the weather is like kind of shaking shit up a little bit.
When is Aquarius over?
The Age of Aquarius. That's I don't know.
26,000 years.
Is it that long?
Dude.
No.
Is it? Oh no, you had me.
It's every couple thousand years though that we go through the different signs.
Okay.
To do a full cycle of all of them was like 26,000.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
That's great. Hey Frank, what's the weather in China? My buddy's asking in the comments.
Over Wuhan, China, and Beijing, China, and all those places, the warm air, cold air fighting each other in China right now, like Wuhan, China, and all those places right now. And but this social media they got their own social media in China. Over lots of rain going on in southern China this weekend coming as well. Then they got some North Korea's getting lots of rain in North Korea and Pyongyang, North Korea, and all those places, heavy rain to get cold air, and lots of. And the rain heading towards next Monday in northeastern China, like Beijing, China, and all those places. Mongolia is getting warmer too. India's into their summer now. It's extremely hot in India right now. And Angola, parts of Zimbabwe, Zambia, Kenya, Mozambique, Madagascar, La Reunion, and Mauritius Islands, and lots of thunderstorms or showers in the forecast. And Mauritius Islands right now. And Indonesia's still getting lots of rain and thunderstorms. They're starting to get some showers. The thunderstorms in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, lots of showers and thunderstorms. Get into the rainy season soon.
Monsoon season. Got it. Cool. Well,
That was the most thorough weather report I've ever heard.
Sounds
in
like
my entire life.
everybody except Chile is getting rained on.
Yeah.
Antarctica is going to be dark for 24 hours a day. And
they need to be
cleansed. Sometime in the end of May, it's going to be dark for 24 hours a day in Amundsen Scott South Pole Station, Antarctica, including the Russian scientists down there.
So if he's watching, he has the weather now. That's great. That's like the most thorough weather. What are you saying, brother?
They're shooting the solar flares from the sun right now. Lots of asteroids up in space somewhere.
Oh yeah, tell us more about the solar flares. I've actually been really, as a spiritual person, I've been really feeling a lot of codes coming from the sun. Actually, can you tell us about the solar flares?
Over, and then it got some lots of cold air in Turkey right now too.
He's like,
in Syria.
He's like, I don't want to. Make me.
Nope. Make me. That's funny.
Make me. Or I
I
won't.
can't, I'm impressed by the thoroughness of the weather. I mean, that's crazy. Like, and like you look this up. Like, I'll listen to this episode on like the next day or something like that, and like you'll be right about the weather every time. Like, literally every time I paid attention to it, at least I have not been able to. Like,
and according to that, down in Italy, lots of rain in Italy right now. It's going to get lots of cold weather currently going on in Spain right now. It's going to bring lots of rain in Germany, in parts of Denmark and Netherlands. And Norway is cold. Finland, Sweden still cold. It's going to get cold this weekend coming in Norway, Finland, Sweden next week as well.
I'll steer clear of Norway then.
yeah, we'll stay on Norway this weekend. Yeah, great idea.
I'll skip my trip to Norway then.
Then it's going to be a big storm off the coast of Italy and France this Wednesday and Thursday coming up. It's going to bring high winds and heavy rain off the coast of France and Italy and all those places. It's going to bring wind-driven rain there.
Nice.
Do you have any opinions on ancient civilizations? That's what one of Mike's books about that. We're going to cover that here in a second. Do you have any opinions on like ancient civilizations or Stargates? You know anything about that?
Ancient civilizations like ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and things like this, and ancient Rome. Going all the way back to cavemen. That's after the dinosaurs. So before that, then they had dinosaurs on Earth. They had a strange creature on Earth before the dinosaurs.
Did they? What was it? Tell me about that.
Don't remember.
Don't remember.
I love you, Frankie. That's great, man.
It was a really long time ago, though.
And those stars up in the sky. There used to be a universe a long time ago. Those stars up in the sky used to be a previous universe.
I mean, you're
He's
probably
actually
right.
exactly right about that. There was a previous universe.
Wow.
Elaborate on that, because that sounds awesome. Like,
Yeah. Well,
Their universe came to an end. That means their kind of sun turned into their kind of red giant billions and billions and billions of years ago. That's when the previous universe came to an end. When the sun turned to the red giant, when their kind of sun-like star turned to the red giant-like star, and then it had a nebula and turned to the white dwarf and black hole. Long before that, now it stars up in the sky.
So it almost like came to like sucked into itself, became a nebula, and then kind of came back out again. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's like it was the stars up in the sky was a previous universe. You had their kind of civilization long time ago, long before.
Long time.
Yeah, I mean,
the universe far away.
the exoplanets would back that too, because like all the planets are sucked into the stars. Like when we look at them, like when we look up, like we see like all the former planets are really close to their star. Like it's almost like the ball pulls them all in or something eventually. I don't know.
Yeah,
just that.
Yeah.
That part's made up, but I at least see that the exoplanets are tormenting. Even I assumed that's what happened more or less. But I mean, I would check out. And these civilizations are probably way more advanced than us. I think like that was like the thing that a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
Are starting to say that we're kind of primitive compared.
I think that's where a lot of our technology.
Billions and billions and billions and billions of years ago, they had a previous Earth-like planets. That's before nebula and before their universe came to an end. The previous universe.
Wow. It's crazy thing. It's like that John Carter series, like almost like where he just went to like Mars or something like that. Like those Princess of Mars, I think is the books like of that. It talks like he went to like Mars for like a report or something like that. Was caveman before or after the pyramids?
Pyramids were built.
Both.
I found it a long time
They
ago.
coexisted. In some cases, they coexisted.
Pyramids were built by the slaves, by Egypt. Those people in Israel built slaves for the Egypt. Then after a while, those slaves had escaped from Egypt and went back to Israel a long time ago.
Right. So that's where Judaism came from, right? From Hermeticism, off of the Egyptian Hermeticism, or Kabbalah, right?
Cavemen, that's before the pyramids, before the ancient Egypt.
I hope so.
Mostly.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
He's asking, so people made the
Yeah,
pyramids?
people made the pyramids. It's the question is which people?
It might have been the people from Israel a long time ago because Egypt brainwashed Israel.
The pyramids predated the Israelites. So my belief, it was the Atlantean peoples. So like Egypt was a part of the whole Atlantean culture that spread across the world. So even though it was Egyptians, it was still part of the Atlantean culture, but long before the traditional archaeology tries to give credit for.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you think
That means all the people from Israel escaped from Egypt.
Yeah, they did. What do you think the pyramids go down further? Like those scans are saying that I think they have like sky scans saying that basically the pyramids go down way more. They're like pillars rather than
the SAR technology, the scans off of the satellites there. And it's really interesting because the guy who broke the news for the Kafir Project team was actually on my Egypt tour a couple years ago.
That's crazy.
So I know Trevor. We're friends.
If you want to follow me on social,
I had him on my show a couple of weeks ago.
That's awesome.
If you want to follow me on social media, my blue sky's at Frankie MacD. My ex formerly Twitter's at Frankie MacD. My link tree is Frankie MacDonald. My address is at Frankie MacD94. My Facebook is Frankie MacDonald. My Instagram is Frankie MacD94. My TikTok is FrankDonald94. My Clapper is FrankDonald94. My Twitch is FrankDonald94. My Snapchat is Frankie AMCDON. My YouTube channel is dogsandwolves, and my LinkedIn is Frankie MacDonald. Best of luck to you. I'm Frank Donald. You're listening to Anthony Rogers Show every Tuesday night.
Bye, Frankie.
Bye, Frankie.
Take care, Frankie. So it's really interesting because like when that first came out, the Egyptian authorities were immediately, it's fake, and it's like, wait a second. Because you're talking real scientists that performed real scans with real patented technology and had a real press conference. So this isn't fake. You can debate and argue the findings, but it's certainly not fake. So, basically the technology is showing us that there's something there under the Giza Plateau that, we previously weren't aware of. Now we do know that there are other chambers and shafts and things like this under the Giza Plateau. We've known this for a long, long time. But they didn't like the fact that their biggest gripe, their biggest thing was that, it didn't come from them. They were immediately like Zahi Hawass was, we didn't authorize this. And it's like, you don't need authorization because they didn't step onto the Giza Plateau to do this. They did it from space. They don't need you to sign off on it. So those
that's funny. That part.
That's how they got away.
Yeah, anytime anybody wants to do something out there, they have to go through the Egyptian authorities. They have to go through all this paper, and they need to tell them, okay, this is where we want to go. This is what we are looking for, and that sort of thing. And whatever you're looking for has to kind of follow the traditional narrative. So if you're just out there looking for mummies or a lost tomb or something like that, fine, go ahead.
Yeah.
But something we want to find hidden chambers under the pyramids, no. And because this was from space, they didn't have that control.
Yeah, that's true. That makes a lot
Made
of
them
sense.
feel powerless, and their ego was broken, so they were like, "No."
Yeah, pretty much. So.
We're bigger than you. We're better than you. Like, no. Typical.
Yeah, pretty much. So
okay, excuse my ignorance if I'm wrong anywhere in here and stuff like that. But like a Stargate is like a way to travel between areas, right?
It's like a portal to
like,
other star systems, right?
Like that's where the movie was and stuff. Is that what that is? Like the device is the Stargate, right? That you go through to go to other places.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like the movies, but like on my tour Stargates of Ancient Egypt, and we actually go to the temples that had the Stargate chambers, and it's written right there in the hieroglyph Stargate. I mean, it's right in plain sight. But yeah, Nikki's right that basically it's it's using portal technology. So portals, these are naturally occurring. Like even NASA has admitted, we've got portals out in space, and they've got satellites up there studying them. They call them X points, but they have acknowledged that yes, these are actually portals. So portals do exist. But they kind of, open randomly, and the satellites that have been studying these things, they've been studying them for 10 years. They have no predictive model for it. They're like, they just open and close whenever they want, different sizes. There's no pattern.
Are they sentient? Do you think that the portals are sentient?
That's a good question.
Great question.
I think more what it is like sentient beings, like, and it doesn't have to be human. It could be, extraterrestrial life or interdimensional life or whatever, has harnessed the power of the portal to, to their will. So whether they want to go to someplace else in the cosmos, to another dimension, to some other point in time, these sorts of things. The Stargate is is a device that an intelligent being has devised in order to harness portal activity to use.
So is it a couple questions. So is like the Ankh, so you know how like this in the images of like the Samaritans holding the purse, and then the hieroglyphs of the Egyptians holding the Ankh, is that the key to open the portal? Because I'm just curious, because I was watching something on Gaia about like the significance of that tool, or even just the one that kind of looks like what was it called?
Well, the Ankh is a symbol for life. And so a lot of times you see an example of somebody like putting the Ankh into somebody's mouth. And so that's like you're giving life to somebody. If you do watch Gaia, watch my interview on there about Egypt's Area 51 and Stargates. So I do go into a lot of that stuff on that. And that's Beyond Belief with George Norrie. So check that one out. But so we see again, like the hieroglyphs for the Stargates. There's a couple of things that set it all up. So these are mostly at the temples. So the first thing that sets up the access to the Stargate is every single temple, whether it's made of sandstone or limestone or whatever, always has a granite threshold. So it could be the entire gate as you're walking in, or it could just be the block that you walk on. But it's granite, and Aswan Rose granite is made of about 55 to 60% quartz. So as you walk in, it's clearing out your energy. So you go into the temple with fresh energies.
Wow,
well, then
that's crazy.
Yeah, then when you go into the Stargate chambers, and there's a great example of this at the Temple of Seti at Abydos, where it shows that the people, when they go into the Stargate chambers, are eating these white cakes, and these white cakes are said to be made of monatomic white gold. And so when you ingest
gold,
this,
right? It's they changed the molecular structure of gold into powder, right?
It's an alchemical process. They basically got this material from basically from the Sinai area, where they had a lot of thousands of mines out there, so like gold, copper, turquoise mines, these sorts of things, and it was part of an alchemical process. And then they baked that monatomic white gold into the cakes, and when they ingested it, it would change their chemical makeup. In fact, David Hudson, back in the 1980s, when he discovered this, they were doing tests on this stuff. He discovered this he had a mine in Arizona, and the tests that they were doing at the University of Iowa involved, Hal Puthoff, all these guys. They would put this powder into a pan, just to weigh it on a scale. And the pan with the powder in it would weigh less than the pan without the powder. So say the pan was like 5 ounces.
Anti-gravity had anti-gravity.
It's like anti-gravity properties.
So do you think that's how they built the pyramids?
I think so. I think it was
really heavy stones and shit.
Yeah, I think it was either some sort of anti-gravity technology that maybe we haven't discovered yet. Maybe it was magnetics. Maybe it was some sort of sound technology. Because there's no way that they were lifting these things and doing this. The traditional narrative is they built this over a couple of decades to be a tomb. Well, no bodies were ever found, and to build that sort of thing in that amount of time with the tools that the traditional archaeology says that they had. I mean, it would not have taken a couple of decades. It would have taken like a couple hundred years. So it's just insane. Yeah.
I mean, even just some of the big pillars that they had been kind of carved out of the ground. Like they were carving them out of stone, out of the ground, and then lifting them up. How the fuck are they doing this?
That's the thing. It's like, for one, and I've been to the quarry. We go there, every time we do the tour. And, for one, how did they get it up out of the quarry and then place it on the boat? Because they're saying, they brought them down the Nile River. Okay, fine, brought them down the Nile River. But do you understand the amount of buoyancy and balance that you would have to play with on your raft or whatever it is, so that, for one, the thing wouldn't sink once you put this, 800-ton obelisk on top of it, right?
Yeah.
It would sink down. Okay, so therefore you need the buoyancy like we have on our cruise ships. Well, if you put too much buoyancy within, the raft to accommodate this, you're going to flip your raft over, right? So it doesn't make sense. And then, the question is, how do they lift it up to get on there to begin with?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have those answers.
What do you know about the Merkaba? I was recently learning that itself, the sacred geometrical shape of the Merkaba, is used to travel through dimensions. Is that something that's used in these Stargates, or is there any connection?
Yeah, I mean, not in the Egyptian ones, but in some like Indian Stargates. So you find in a lot of this ancient symbolism the secrets to accessing portals, to accessing other dimensions, altered states of consciousness, all of these different things. And each culture kind of has their different take on it. But you find this interesting interconnection between these different cultures. So you were talking about the handbags earlier. We see that all over the world. We see the pine cones all over the world. The spirals, which was the ancient
pine cones. That's what it was. Yeah.
the pine cones. And then the spiral is that ancient symbol for portal that we find everywhere. So one of the functions of the Stargate was not just, we always think traditionally because of the movies and the shows that, boom, we're going off somewhere in space. Well, no, they could travel, across the world too. It didn't have to be all the way out there, or they could even just use it for like a communications device and, call somebody up, hey, what's going on over there in Chichen Itza.
Started.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nice. Love that. That's awesome. Oh no! I can't hear
so what else do you want to know?
Anthony, I can't hear you, Anthony.
I had it on.
There you are.
He had it on mute. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, my bad.
It's like there's dead air time. Like,
Just miming. But like, so a lot of these civilizations are probably very advanced. They probably killed themselves like multiple times. It seems like this Earth seems like really, really old. Like looking at a lot of things. Like, I have no proof of this, but just how I feel. It's like I've only been here for like 38 years, so I have no that's like crazy to say I know what happened, but I feel like looking at a lot of stuff, it looks like the world's been like redone at least once or twice. Like like just like started over, and from my perspective at least.
Yeah, there's a lot of I mentioned it before with we were talking about universes that it's a recurring cycle. So yes, this is not the first universe. We've had many of these go arounds again and again and again. So we have the Big Bang, but there's that what they call the Big Crunch that precedes that. So when the universe ends, we get another new universe after that. But the same thing with civilization. Civilizations rise and they fall, and we rebuild. And one of the things that's overlooked in like the Atlantis story, it was written by Plato in the Socratic dialogues, but the story actually came from Solon, who predated him by a few hundred years. Solon, another Greek philosopher, had gone to Egypt around 600 AD, or I'm sorry, 600 BC. And he's talking with the priest there at Sais, at Heliopolis, and he's getting this fantastic story of this, lost civilization that was destroyed. Now, the Egyptians didn't call it Atlantis. They called it the homeland of the primeval ones. And you can find some of the story there in the walls of the Temple of Edfu. But when when Solon was talking to the priest Sanchis there, Solon's telling him, oh yeah, we have this, this part in our history where our civilization was wiped out. There was the Great Flood. We had to start again. And Sanchis is laughing at him, saying, Solon, you Greeks are but children. There have been many times we've had to restart civilization, and you guys, you didn't write it down. We kept the records here. You guys didn't. And, because your civilization was wiped out, it was the goat herders and the sheep herders up in the mountains that had to come down and start things again. And they didn't know what the heck was going on. They weren't learned. So, yeah. And that gets overlooked all the time. So yes, it was right there in the story of Atlantis, how this has happened many, many, many times.
Yeah, there's like a Sumerian war too, wasn't there? Like one of the times too, like a great war. It seemed like it was pretty well documented in a lot of tablets and stuff. I feel like like in old stuff. You mean, but I think like I don't know, like the flood. I mean, even the Bible talks about
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
There's so many different.
People ask all the time, how this technology and how this knowledge got lost, and that's one of the ways there is wars. When people back in the day, when you came in and you took over some other civilization, you completely wiped them off the map. It was just genocide. You're killing everybody. You're destroying whatever records they had, whatever buildings they had. It's just total wipeout because you were taking over. This was your land now. And so there are all kinds of civilizations that have just been lost to time that we, every once in a while we might get a remnant like, oh, this is a new one. We didn't know about these guys before.
Huh. Yeah, that's crazy that's crazy to think about how much knowledge has been lost. Probably most of it, that's crazy to think about. Like, or how many times we've been right here or further. It's like, I mean, I think they're even finding.
Technically, all of the knowledge ever made is in the Akashic records. If we technically tap into it, we could actually find it, but it is lost. Like in this dimension, it is mostly lost. You just have to tap into the higher dimension.
Excellent point.
I call that eternal knowledge. You can call it the Akashic records. You can call it the collective unconscious. It's because time doesn't really exist. It's all here, all concurrent, past, present, future is here. So if it's all here, that means everything that we've ever learned in the past and everything we're going to learn in the future is all here right now because all time is concurrent. So it's a matter of accessing that. And so, it's one of the references to that is the Akashic records. Absolutely.
A great point.
Yeah.
Someone's got a question here. It says, I remember reading years ago that all the knowledge was stored in the pyramids before the Great Flood. That's interesting. I don't know if that's necessarily a question, but what are your thoughts on that more? So?
Yeah, not necessarily in the pyramids, unless you're talking about the knowledge like built the construction. So a lot of the knowledge was at places like Heliopolis and these other learning centers. Of course, the great capital city of Atlantis and places like that. And that's one of the shames of like when we lost the great library at Alexandria. Now that would have been long after the flood, but all those records that were at Heliopolis, when the Greeks came into power, when Alexander the Great took over, he moved all of that from Heliopolis to the Great Library of Alexandria because he was trying to make that like the seat of knowledge and power. And of course, that burned down when Julius Caesar decided to light the harbor on fire, and it moved into the city. Yeah.
So you're wrong, Rita. That's what he said.
Well, not necessarily wrong because I mean, mostly what the Great Pyramid is, I'll say inherently ingrained within the stone because it's mostly made of limestone. You do have some granite in there as well, which contains quartz, and quartz we use it today. You can actually store data on that quartz. And
we use quartz on our phones, on our computers. Like I don't think people don't really realize like how essential like crystals are in our technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, there could absolutely, in a sense, there be knowledge stored within there, but and even science has shown this today. So Christopher Dunn had his idea of the Giza power plant back in the 90s, and science actually proved that about 7 years ago when they showed that the Great Pyramid is actually harnessing energy out of the earth and storing it.
It's like a big organite.
Yeah, and so I think not necessarily like a power plant to turn on the light bulbs and things like that, but actually energy to help raise the consciousness of the people of the area. And also the primary thing that they were most concerned about, which was raising the crops. I think it was helping to enhance their output of crops, because you got to think Egypt they can only use 7% of their land. The rest is desert. And so when you had when you have the Nile inundation season during the summer, all of a sudden, boom, we got to make crops. And so we have shown that you can actually put items inside of pyramids. If we're doing tests on this in Russia, you can put or even just around the pyramid, you can put crops and plants and things like that, and you will have a higher yield from your plant production.
Interesting.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, we are kind of like plants, I guess, if you really think about it.
Water-based, yeah.
I mean,
Water-based.
growing things
Water-based, yeah.
like just the acceleration of growth in general, like whether it's
Mhm.
like plants or like just psychological development. That's really interesting.
What's something that will complete like that we would have like we just don't know. You hyper focus on this category, and like obviously you don't know what everybody knows, but I'm saying like what is something that like took you a second to figure out, or just like so wildly fascinating, like it's like you're like an expert in this more so I'd say. I mean, if you've written a book about it, and focus on so what are your not to put you on the spot completely, but
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good question. Yeah, no, it's a really, really good question. I think a lot of, making that, I mean, with this particular book, because I did get into, the Atlanta story and that sort of thing, and finding those connections, kind of like, what I was talking about there with that, that acknowledgement that, yeah, this has been a recurrent cycle again and again and again. Discovering that the ancients really embedded this within their symbolism. You look at the symbol of the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, which is our oldest alchemical symbol. Well, that was their symbol for recycling and renewal. So they would put it on, the sarcophagi. The first place that we see it is the burial shrine of King Tut, but then we see it in other tombs throughout Egypt. And so, this was for, we want to recycle and renew life. We want to recycle and renew the earth, the universe, and, all of this. And what was really fascinating to me was when you start looking at the symbolism, there's two tracks. There's a top side to the snake, and then there's the underbelly. And okay, if we're talking recycling and renewal, and this is going to sound really bizarre, I actually connected this with modern neutrino testing that was done in Antarctica. And you're probably like, okay, what are you talking about? So,
caveman that to me a little bit, like dumb that down a little bit, like.
what does that symbol have to do with neutrino testing in Antarctica? Well, a few years back, there was neutrinos are basically very, very small particles coming from space. They can tell us information about the solar system and the universe. And so they had this all set up in Antarctica, and they're running these tests. This is the Anita project and the Ice Cube project. Well, as they're running these tests, they were finding that there were these neutrinos coming up out of the ground without a source. And this was baffling to them. Why is it coming from there and there's no source to it? So the scientists working on this project, in a peer-reviewed published paper in applied physics, deduced that this was actually indicative of a parallel universe running in reverse time. So it's like, well, scientists are talking about reverse time in a parallel universe. What? So when I look at the symbol of the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, I see one track running in one direction and another track running in the other direction, the underbelly and the top side. And where they meet is where that head is eating the tail, which I think is indicative of the Big Bang. And the end of one universe is the beginning of the other. And so it's that, concept what we were talking about earlier. What was before the universe? The universe. What's going to come after this universe? The universe.
Most most modern religions back
and the ancients knew it.
Yeah, like a lot of religions back that too. Like I think Hinduism's like the 4 yugas, your cycles, and then like even in like Book of Revelation, it talks about like the end of like a chapter more or less, rather than like the whole like everything. I mean, it seems like it's like the same with like it lines up with like Kali Yuga and Hinduism almost, where like it's like the evil-ish time, and then Christ comes back and 1,000 years of peace. Same thing like the first Yuga in Hinduism is the same. So it's like this weird cycle that keeps happening. It seems like everybody's like evil and messes it up, and then it comes back perfect or something.
Right. And the idea of reincarnation is not just the, reincarnating the human life. It's also reincarnating the universe. And so it's like, you could even go down the road of the idea.
That's a crazy thought, bro. I just had me thinking on that's crazy.
Yeah. You can even go down the road of the simulated universe here. The description of reincarnation is a description of, being involved in a simulation where you log into it doesn't necessarily have to be a computer. That's just our modern concept of it.
Yeah.
But you log in, you play something out for a while, you learn something, you log out, and you go home, and you keep doing that again and again and again. And that's what reincarnation is. And even Christianity talks about, we are in this world preparing to for another world. So it's that same concept. They just didn't use the word simulation, but
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, they're all probably right too. Like all of their rules would get you there too. It seems like it's just about being a good person and like creating, like that's what most of them seem like. Like to where it's like Hinduism being karma based. Like I think that's kind of accurate to that afterlife too.
right. Yeah.
I think it's almost like a mix of everything. It's like playing telephone for like hundreds and thousands of years. So you're missing certain things, getting certain things. Like,
Yeah.
But I think like no, that's crazy to think about. Like how. Like even like everything when reincarnated, that's crazy to think about that. I just always thought just like humans, and maybe I went as far as cats or something. I'm like, oh, the cat probably does, But I never thought about like, the entire universe just being like that's just like a crazy. That's awesome to think about, and like there's so much in that, man. Like
Yeah.
Whitney said the same thing in the comments. He goes, reincarnation of the universe is a cool concept. That's like. To me,
Yeah,
especially.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if you saw this one here the other week, but it's funny. Ever since they turned on that James Webb telescope, and they were like, "Wow, there's more going on out there than we previously thought." It's like, you think? Yeah.
It's like, yeah, duh.
What we currently know.
Come on, guys.
It's like,
we're arrogant apes, really.
Yeah, right. But a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about, we were, noticing these other things in the far, far reaches of the universe, and the way that light and galaxies and things like this were bending. We believe we might actually be inside a black hole, like our universe is inside a black hole.
Yeah, that's what in the comments my buddies made reference kind of like to somewhere saying like you saying like I like how people say reincarnation is cause of like an Earth is a slave planet. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
there's that idea with the.
Do you believe that, or do you think, or do you just think it's a good story? Like,
it's interesting because we see stories of the Anunnaki and these other beings who genetically created humans.
Create us for being slaves, essentially, though.
Yeah, that genetically created us as slaves to harvest gold and these other things, and like Enlil was in charge of that, and then Enki was the one that gave us knowledge to break out of that bondage and that sort of thing. So it's interesting ideas, and we see these types of concepts throughout other religions and texts and things like this. I don't believe humans are originally from Earth. We are just so different than every other life form. I mean, they can kind of genetically put us along with like chimps and stuff like that a little bit. But I mean, you think about it, we're the only life form on this planet that, we make our own clothes, we cook our own food, things like this. We're very, very different. So the question becomes, where are we originally from? And, a lot of ancient civilizations would point to things like, the constellation of Orion, that's where we originally are
Sirius
from.
or Orion. Yeah.
Sirius, Orion. Yeah. And these sorts of things. So, and then people say, well, what about Mars? Well, that might've been a stop along the way. But here's the thing is it makes a lot of sense because, our planet, our solar system is relatively young compared to the rest of the universe. We've been around 4.5 billion years. The rest of the universe, they're saying about 14 billion years. And actually, last year, there was a report that came out that said it might actually be closer to 27 billion years, so that's, that's a lot of time. And, if you think about this, in about 5 billion years, this planet is not going to be here anymore. The sun's going to become a red giant. Your weather guy was talking about it earlier. The sun's going to become a red giant and destroy this planet. So at some point we need to get off if we want to save our species. Well, this likely happened, in other solar systems and other galaxies long ago. And those peoples had to get off planet and recolonize, just like we are going to have to if we want to survive. So, I mean, you could really look at it like Battlestar Galactica. And that's a sci-fi reference, but
I think a lot of that stuff's channeled. Honestly, I think that's all channeled.
Yeah, I think so. Even if you go back to the original
memories, show, past life memories and shit, for sure.
Yeah, they were giving us a little message there. Who the showrunners, the writers, because in the newer show in the early 2000s was great, but the monologue at the introduction of the show for the old one, he's talking about, there are many people who believe life here began out there, and it's like, yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. Now, did they call them on a Battlestar or whatever? I mean, probably not. That's all for an entertaining show, but somehow, some way, they came here and colonized here, and maybe they stopped on Mars along the way, or the other planet that was there, that's now the asteroid belt, that could have been something there. So yeah, I think we have come from someplace before, and we're going to be going someplace after this.
Have you had any experiences with ETs or like extraterrestrial higher dimensional beings?
Yeah, I mean, my first significant paranormal experience when I was about 8 years old. Traditionally we would call it a shadow person, but I had a hypnosis session and a past life regression and all this, some years back, and we were actually able to channel that being that was in that room that night, and basically discovered that it was an interdimensional being that was here studying Earth. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
I love how casually you're just like, yeah. Like when she asked that, like, I was not expecting that. I was just not expecting that. But I believe in all that stuff. I want to have that. I want to have. I'm kind of terrified to be hypnotized like that. Like just like you're just not in control, I guess. But I think it's good information to have, though. I think it'd be good information. Like, I believe in did you have past lives too?
Oh yeah, I mean that past life and I've done a few since. So in my partner is Catherine Swin, she's a QHHT practitioner, so that's like what she does is she does regression sessions with people. So I've done a couple with her, but yeah, that first one, the past life that I saw there was like medieval times, and I was a scribe for some organization or small religion. Couldn't really tell exactly what it was. That was teaching things, ancient, esoteric wisdom that that the church didn't like, and we got hung for it, but
I've had a couple of interesting. Yeah, I've done some interesting. I've done some past life regressions. I was definitely in ancient Egypt. I was a priestess for Isis, and
great.
And then I've had some past life. I had a past life on Sirius, and also in Minnetonka on Orion.
Nice.
I've had a past life as a dragon.
Oh no, that's cool.
And I've had a lot of past. I also feel very connected to like the Fae or the Elven. I mean, I think a lot of those are extraterrestrial beings from the Pleiades as well.
Yeah, I mean, they are definitely some sort of interdimensional beings. So I'm actually covering that a bit. So I have a 6-part docu-series out there right now. It's on Tubi TV and Roku channels called The Shadow Dimension. So it gets a lot into that shadow phenomenon that was referring to before. The second installment that I'm going to be releasing later this year is called Shadow Dimension Beyond the Shadows. It's a 90-minute film, and part of that deals with the Fae, what we call the fairies, and that sort of thing. And I do believe that they are more interdimensional in nature, and so I get into that sort of thing, because when you hear about like some of these abduction cases, and these days it's mostly like ET abductions, but like 150 years ago, 200 years ago, it was the fairies that were taking people into these different realms, and it was like the same type of stories. Yeah, it's the same type of stories, but it was the fairies rather than ETs. So I think it was just kind of our cultural context of the times, and they were really describing the same things.
Wow, that's so interesting. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, like fairies and elves and gnomes are like huge in like Irish folklore and Celtic folklore. I mean, to the point where it's like they really believe that these are real things. And I mean, we talk about like fairy tales and I think a lot of those stories, it's kind of like what we were saying with like playing telephone. I think a lot of those stories are stemming from some sort of, even just dragons, stories of dragons and stuff are stemming from a time and place where maybe we were spiritually tapped in enough to see these interdimensional beings, or maybe that they were at a lower density and maybe they ascended. So now we can't see them, but they're still maybe around us, or I mean, but
Well,
it's kind of interesting how it comes up in different parts of the world.
yeah, there's so
You
much
know,
around us that
multiple occasions, even
we don't.
Chinese. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Chinese geomancy, the dragon is the symbol for energy, and actually you find that through a lot of cultures around the world where snakes or serpents or dragons were that symbol of ancient energy, which is one of the things you find at these Stargate locations. But yeah, there's so many things around us that we can't see with our own eyes that, you know, we just, you know, we lost the ability to, we can still do it, but we've lost that synchronization with these other things that are around us. I mean, we're so disconnected from the land anymore. You know, we used to walk around there, you know, barefoot all the time, and we just don't do that anymore. So we are very, very disconnected from everything. So we lost the synchronization. You know, we're just down to like the physiology of our eyes, which only sees a very narrow band of the spectrum. So, so yeah, so I always encourage people, you know, go out there, you know, meditate, go out into the woods, you know, commune with nature and all that sort of thing.
Take some mushrooms, you know.
Yeah, you know,
have a psychedelic. You know, I want to start facilitating ayahuasca retreats. I just got certified in light language energy healing.
Oh, great.
And I'm working with my sponsor. We're gonna open up a sober living, but a part of that, I'm like, it would be really cool to facilitate like on one of the branches of the healing modalities that I'm kind of bringing in is doing ayahuasca. I did an ayahuasca retreat like maybe 5 years ago, and it was the first time that I ever had like a real spiritual experience where I met my spirit guides, and I had like, you know, I had this owl Cochina is a Native American spirit guide that has revealed itself to me when I did this retreat, and it was so powerful. Like I saw it and I went outside, and then there was owls everywhere and they were hooting. Nice. And I mean, it was such an interesting experience. I had never really, I hadn't really pierced through the veil at that point. And, you know, I think sometimes people who are like still stuck in the matrix, an easy way to kind of pierce through that veil is through psychedelics, or especially if you're doing it in a ritualistic way with a shaman, or, you know, someone who's certified in like, you know, facilitating something like that. But
yeah, I would definitely say if you're going to do that, and I actually have not tried ayahuasca, but I would say, you know, definitely do that with somebody who's trained in that, or go to South America and get one of those guys out there in the jungle that's been doing it for like 500 years, you know.
No, that's when I went. That it was like they were from the shamans were from Colombia. They didn't even speak English.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
They were like from the place. They were the guys. They were the guys. Okay.
Right.
Watching people take DMT and like other psychedelics at like festivals, like they're trying to party and don't realize it's not a party drug, is like the funniest thing in my 20s. Like I'll just be at a music festival and some dude just does DMT and he's just like a different person when he comes back out of the it's just like, I don't know, it's so funny to me to see people misuse that stuff. Like,
yeah, but you can even do that, like even without that, you can like go to stone circles and do that. So like Drombeg Stone Circle in Ireland, just stand right in the middle of that, and just if you talk, it's almost like this, you know, fascinating fishbowl effect. Like you're encapsulated within this energy. So imagine doing, you know, their ritualistic chant, whatever the heck they were chanting thousands of years ago, back when all the stones were there and they were at their full height, and you would have that resonance reverberating off of you. So you would have, you know, that sound technology just, you know, coursing through your body. It'd be amazing. Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, that would be some next level ascension.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy.
So, and that's really, you know, kind of what we call, you know, activating the portal, activating the Stargate. You know, it was a personal experience, and you could use it, yes, for a lot of things, going to other places in the cosmos or other places in the planet or other dimensions or ultra states of consciousness. And, you know, when I signed my book, Portals to the Stars, I always tell people, I always write in there, you are the Stargate, because that's it, and you're the one that's the Stargate. We talk about these chambers and everything, but each individual person, because you could sit there and go into a deep meditative state right now and transport yourself someplace.
Remote viewings like that, probably like people kind of mistake. I call it remote viewing, but it's probably just doing the same exact thing you just said.
Yeah. It's
Like,
another version of that. It's just, I mean, you're talking, everything comes down to frequency, energy, resonance, vibration. So it's a matter of accessing those right frequencies. Yeah.
Very true. No, I agree with that. Yeah, I want to travel through dimensions and stuff. I think like one of my favorite shows as a kid was Sliders, man. Like I
remember Sliders.
Dude, I love that show as a kid. And I still actually have every episode still, so I still love it secretly.
Nice.
But dude, like in Rick and Morty, like popularized that so much too. Like they're just like going, they have interdimensional cable. You know what I mean? Like they've like in 20 years in my life, I watched it just become so normalized, and it's almost like what happens before it's exposed, and like I think if. What everyone's mistaking like all this like terrible stuff happening right now, like maybe like a civil war, world war, blah blah. I think it's just weird growing pain into a renaissance where we'll accept like aliens and other things like that as we
that's exactly what it is.
I think that's what's happening. I think the old guard's like, oh, I'm trying to hold on to all this oil or something, or whatever the old like thing is, the old guard, gold, oil, cash, whatever. I think we're evolving past all that, and like I think it's just this crazy renaissance happening, like with information and stuff. I think that's what it seems like.
Really is, yeah. Well, and that's why they're trying so hard to suppress it. But one of the wonderful things about things like the internet right now is that we're able to have this communication, have these discussions right now. I mean, that's really like for so long. You had the spiritualism movement back in. We go through these cycles. Spiritualism movement back in the 1800s, and that like just really took off. And then even coming out of World War I, people wanted to talk to their loved ones who had passed during that war. But then it was like once World War II hit, and you had the industrialization, the military industrial complex and that sort of thing coming out of World War II, it's like all of a sudden, boom, everything was clamped down. And if you were talking about hearing voices or seeing ghosts or seeing aliens or whatever, you were crazy or off your rocker, you were nuts. And it was like that until about the mid 90s, when all of a sudden if World Wide Web starts becoming popularized and people are connecting over the internet. And I was finding myself in these different the old bulletin board system, those boards, or the old forums and things like that, Yahoo groups, all that stuff, and talking with people and connecting and finding, okay, other people have had these different experiences. And so that was a wonderful thing when the internet came out. And then also you started having some of the television shows, late 90s, early 2000s, that really opened people's eyes. Oh, other people are having these experiences, other people are talking about it. And ever since then, that has really taken off, and we've had this just new renaissance of talking about all these things, which is wonderful.
No, it's amazing. And I was getting a sandwich before this, and like one of the this kid named Cody I met up there was I just met him today. We're going back and forth talking about what today's episode is about, and he had a lot of interesting things to say too. And this lady next to me was just laughing at us or something, and I just don't even care about her criticism. It's just like I'm just talking to this kid who's I just met, who's awesome, and I'm like, eat this delicious sandwich, and she's like laughing about something. I'm just like, that just seems like insecurity to me. I'm just gonna keep like it was like
just real scared, dude.
Because we're just talking about this, and I think we were talking about the concept of like how who knows how long we've been here type thing, like how like oh, this rock's about 65 million years old, and we're just like, what the fuck. I mean, in my perspective, you know what I mean, like I get carbon dating, I understand what they're saying, but at the same time I'm just like, I don't know if that's everything we think is so accurate, And we're talking about that, and this lady's just like looking at us like we're just idiots or like zoo animals or something. And like, I just don't even like, I don't know. I couldn't imagine being imprisoned by other people's thoughts that I don't care about,
Here's the wild thing. Here's the wild thing about that is, I mean, they have found rocks and things like that. They've been able to date billions and billions of years, right? But here's the wild thing about that is, I mean, this is not our first go around with this planet. This solar system was born out of another solar system that went supernova billions of years ago and reformed up into this. So our planet's already had this go around. We're all made of stardust, and that's just not metaphysical woo-woo stuff. It is it is real. That is legit. We are all made of stardust, and this planet has been around and around in many different forms.
Yeah, I bet there used to be a lot of them. Like, yeah, like in like C.S. Lewis's book, Princess of Mars. I think like he talks about how like Mars was like a dying planet at the time he was going there, or something like that.
Oh,
Uh-oh, we lost him. Oops.
oh, he'll be back.
Oh yeah. Oh,
He just had to go through a portal. He had to
I
go through a
swear-
portal.
he
real
did.
quick.
He went through his own Stargate.
I swiped
through
my
portal,
my mouse pad while I was talking, and it went to the next page. I have a MacBook, so I swiped. It was dumb, but no. But I think a lot of the books like hint at like C.S. Lewis claimed that. I mean, this could be expected. All entertainment, like he said it was anyway. But he said he got this book from like the story from like a guy in an institution that nobody believed, and he was like the John Carter or whatever, that he traveled to Mars, and he was like he traveled all these places and stuff like that. And C.S. Lewis said this guy, like the story is like, I mean, I don't know, it's all entertainment. You never know what's real or not.
Sure.
But I feel like it was masses entertainment. And he was like explaining how he traveled there by accident and then like got back there one time too, and like did a bunch of different like are you familiar? You're probably familiar with that series, right? It's a very pop culture kind of thing.
Yeah.
They made a Disney movie. Yeah, I figured you would be. Yeah, but it's just it seems like it's like most people probably don't know that book though. But I feel like that's like a good that's a good story and kind of a good gist of probably what it is like and what it could be like and what it was like more prominently at one point when we were smarter about like looking up instead of at our phones, you know?
Yeah.
Like I think this has to be the dumbest generation of all time. I mean, just by like what we're doing to our attention span with videos and what we're doing by staring at it, and people just believe everything on the news or media. It's like crazy. It's like no matter what somebody says, they just think it's real. If they put on like a doctor coat or a tie or something, it's just like, to me, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's
fascinating because we were just talking about a moment ago with the internet, how, you know, bringing all these people together, having these conversations. We are the most connected we have ever been, at least as far as we know, in our history, and yet we are the most disconnected that we've ever been too.
We
At
wasted.
the same time, it is bizarre how paradoxical that is, but it's true. We really are.
Like imagine social media in like the Renaissance or like the 1960s counterculture, like the 90s when people were creating. I mean, it would have been. You know, I mean, I feel like this this technology is wasted on our generation almost. Like, you know what I mean? Like most people, like they just want to watch 10-second cat videos or something all day. You know, it's like that's what or whatever whatever videos. You know, that's what they and like that's terrible for your attention span and learning. And
it is, but and I put those things out there. You know, I put my reels out there and all that. You know, you're repurposing my content because that's what you got to do to. And I know you know you're social media savvy, so you know from this too. You have to because that's where we are today. But
we're wasting everybody's time. But
we are.
But at least we know it's dumb. At least we know it's dumb.
I hate social media. God, dude, it's the worst. It is the worst.
Yeah, it's like I'd rather have somebody sit there and just, you know, watch my longer form stuff. Like, okay, you know, I have my own podcast, Connecting the Universe, that I do. Like, I just want, okay, people watch that, like, but they don't absorb it in, you know, a long format chunk like that. They want the little bits and pieces. So okay, fine, I'll repurpose and throw it out there.
They're oh my god, yeah, it's because everyone's ADD. I mean, I'm pretty ADD, so I get it. I mean, I like sitting down, like if I find a really good podcast or like even just like an audio book, like when I started listening to the Book of Enoch or the Emerald Tablets, like I would sit there and I would listen to that shit for like a couple hours. Sometimes I'd have to go back and re-listen to it because it was just so much information that it's like I really needed to like hear it multiple times to actually understand it. But I think that because we've been kind of programmed to have such a short attention span that we're kind of like, you know, it's easier for us to take in bite-sized pieces, or, you know, the swiping, it's so addictive. It's like crack, dude. It's like the dopamine from just like going to the next thing. It's like sitting on the TV and like, you know, pressing the channel 10 million times over and over and over again. You know what I mean? It's just like,
well, and I'll have to, because, you know, I'll be working on something. I've got my phone saying I have to flip it over so I don't see the notifications, because when I see the notification, you know, I want to see what it is. And because, you know, I do a lot, you know, with social media, writer, been on TV, all that stuff. It's like, oh, I want to see if somebody commented on something. I'll respond to the comment because I want to be interactive with people. So it's like, okay, fine. Notification pops up and I go in there and I take a look at it and maybe I respond to somebody. But then, all of a sudden, oh, hey, what else is going on? I start scrolling and it's like, all of a sudden I'm distracted for like 15 minutes when I was supposed to be writing over here. Yeah. So it's like I got to keep
pulls you in to distracts you for like, no, I'm the same way. And I have really bad ADHD, and time blindness is one of the symptoms, unfortunately. So I'll be scrolling and an hour will go by, and I'm like, oh my god, like I just lost a fucking hour, and what did I even get out of it? Like I laughed. It's some dumbass shit that someone else posted. I didn't like, or like I reposted someone else's bullshit. Like I don't know. I'm trying to get better at not reposting other people's stuff and just creating my own content. Like
there you go.
If there's something that I really like, I'm just gonna make my own. I mean, it's easier to just repost someone else's, obviously, but like
I stopped using my phone for GPS unless I'm going somewhere like really far that I don't know where it's at. Like I stopped because like I was using it for like just to go to get food 15 minutes away because I just don't want to think. And I was just using it in dumb ways. And stuff. I'm like, whatever, take me to pizza, take me there. And now I'm like riding my bike there and getting like cardio there. I'm like not using my phone as much. I'll use it to like scan real fast, like how we used to use maps back in the day. I'll scan it real fast and then turn it off or something. If I need to. Print a map quest, but no, I've been trying to use my phone.
I remember doing that too.
You had to. I had to bring a laptop one time with it on the screen because I didn't have a printer and I didn't have like internet everywhere. It was like before the phone. It was like in my passenger seat. Like, where do I go after this turn? I remember bringing the whole laptop, but I try to use this technology less. But I mean, like I did just stare at my phone like all day today while I was laying around. But I feel like I didn't do that Thursday through Sunday or Thursday through Monday. I was like out doing stuff, doing a bunch of work and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll lay around. You have to like regulate it, and I think this is such a new thing. It's unregulated. I don't think it should be like legally regulated. Keep those guys out of everything.
It is unregulated.
But I think like but self-regulation. You should be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't eat only sugar. It's like the same thing as that. It's like we're consuming junk food and radiation really through the phone. I mean, our hands. It's
technological junk food. It absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's just interesting. Like I'm trying to like reprogram my brain, like learn Spanish and like weird stuff, and like I don't know. I went down like an M theory dive, and I'm just an idiot trying to understand it. It's like and just a lot of different things. I feel like I've just been like trying to educate myself more.
Dude, what really helps you reprogram your brain is fucking subliminals.
Interesting.
Like, oh sure.
People make subliminal videos with affirmation, like in a good way. They'll make affirmations for like abundance or grounding or self-healing, and
I do that on my phone.
Lower it.
My phone just says I'm a money magnet. I read it every time I check the time.
That's
I'm a money
amazing.
magnet.
Oh, here you go. Here you go. I'm gonna date
so
myself here. So when I was in high school, I played baseball, and so I was creating some subliminal messages just to kind of train myself. I'm gonna get a hit or whatever, that sort of thing. And so I had my mother had classical music on vinyl. So I've got my turntable. I get some Mozart. Put the vinyl in. I'm running that, and I've got my boom box there. I've got record, and I'm talking to myself, doing the subliminal messages with the turntable and a boom box, and then I would play that. Had a little cassette player alarm clock. I would play that when I was going to bed at night.
Wow. So you were making your own subliminals. That's crazy. Wow.
Yes, early affirmation. That's all affirmations are today. I just made like different technology. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess people have been the same for a long time. It's just like our tools change, I guess. Like we're all the same. We've probably been the same like needs and stuff for like ever really. You know what I mean? It just keeps we just have different tools and stuff. Like well, we've been here about an hour. So do you want to throw a promo and stuff? And like, I won't keep you too long. I know you're probably way busier.
Sure. This has been a great conversation. I really appreciate it.
I'm saying your resume makes you sound way busier than me, bro. You got movies out, you got books out. I'm like, this guy is way busier than me.
He's got shit to do, okay, guys.
And Nikki's got to watch my interviews on Gaia, so there's that.
Yeah.
So,
how do you find that on there? What is your exact stuff on there? Like, I'll look at that.
I've got 3 interviews with George Norrie on there. One is on. Yeah, he is. He's a really nice guy. One is Egypt's Area 51 and Stargates. I've got the one there on time travel. I've got one on there about the Alaska Triangle. The interview I did with Regina Meredith was on Shadow People, and we also ended up talking about Alaska Triangle on that one as well. So yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
You got some great stuff. Yeah. And the book that we kind of discussed, not in and
out of it a little bit. Yeah.
Not verbatim. Yeah. We had a bunch of talks, but that's in the link in the description for everybody there.
That's the latest.
Mike's website's also in the description. If you guys want
MikeRicksecker.com. So please stop by.
Yeah,
I've got my online learning site, Connect Universe Portal, or dive into all of this. I'm on Patreon as well. Podcast is Connecting the Universe. You can find me on all social media. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, and I have the Stargates of Ancient Egypt tour coming up this November. So that's 11th to the 23rd. We do that every year, but next time is this November. We will be home in time for Thanksgiving. So people have been asking me that. Yes, we're home
I've
for
been wanting to go. I've been
Come
feeling called to
along.
go to Egypt. That
along.
would be okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Crazy. Get that $5.99 Frontier annual plan, and then just be like Egypt. Like I don't know if it goes to Egypt, but like they're selling like plane tickets like for $600 for.
Yeah,
like
our group, Mohammed, he gets us into the Great Pyramid of Giza, 2 hours, just our group. The whole thing is opened up to us. Like, there's only certain areas that the public can get to, and the whole thing is opened up to us. We get 2 hours and they're just ourselves. It's absolutely amazing. We've got like a part of it is a 4-day now cruise. Again, we show you all the Stargates and everything. And yeah, Mohammed knowing everybody, we got special access into like some of the areas of temples that people don't get. Yeah.
Oh,
that is badass.
Okay.
That is badass.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We're going to we're going to Hawara this year, which is the Egyptian labyrinth. So that is pretty cool too. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh my God, you guys, I just got this Egyptian, this tattoo. Oh wait,
wow,
Bastet. Nice.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
I'll be there. Or I'll be square. Okay.
Well, you got here.
Just use your Stargate ability.
No, we got the canopic jars here.
Ooh.
Whoa. How old is that, you think?
Actually, it's a replica. You can only get like real ones off the black market. So this is actually a reproduction, but the reproduction itself is historic. This is alabaster. It's about 150 years old.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow, that's so cool.
That looks legit, though. I mean, that's
Stuff
legit.
over. Oops.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So
that's awesome. Yes, I would love to do some. Yeah, I'm all about it. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you. And like, I'd love to cover some other subject you cover, like time travel potentially at some point, or like if your wife hypnotizes people, if you do that on a podcast, it'd be crazy, maybe even too. But like, I just for the past life regression thing, that's interesting stuff. But we touched on
it'd be cool to have your wife come on and talk about past lives.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. So you can
really talked about that.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. So right now you can go to for her. So that's Catherine Swin, QHHT.com, and her YouTube is Portal to the Cosmos.
Awesome.
Nice.
I'll have you both on at some point. I appreciate everything, man. Like, great talk. I'd love to cover more sometime. Nikki, you have anything to promote before we get on? I got a couple things after you, probably.
Just follow my. I am. I just got certified as a light language activator and healer. So I'm gonna start selling like packages for that. So follow me on my other Instagram that is Divine Venus Vixen. And
that's the most Los Angeles job of all time. I'm like, she's definitely from LA when she said that. I'm like, but it's still awesome. I'm not knocking. I'm just saying that is the most LA job of all time. And you should still work with her. And you should still give her all like. I'm not mocking it. I'm just saying that is so LA. But cool. Yeah, no.
So LA.
It is the most LA job I've ever heard. But cool. Yeah, no. We have a 24-hour stream now. If you're watching this, so you may already know that. We were on the top 5 on Rumble under 24/7 streams Friday, which was like the first time that's ever happened. We were above Fox, which is I thought Fox was the idol of Rumble. So it's weird. So it's weird that we're above that. And then I think we're top 10 for news too. So that's new. That's pretty good.
That's crazy.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, how's Rumble been going? How's Rumble been going? Because they reached out to me last year and said, "Hey, you want to try us out?" And
you should.
I highly recommend.
I think they need guys like you, and then
you can talk like about anything. It's complete freedom of speech.
Okay,
it's been working very well. Yeah, no, I love it so far, and like I know the guys there too that would probably help you out too. Like
like they put us on the front cover multiple times when we've asked them to.
Mm-hmm. We are right now. I think.
Nice.
Yeah, they'll feature us whenever we ask. they'll put us on the front cover. Like they're really receptive. Like you're not talking to just a fucking robot. Like they actually get back to you. Their customer service is really good. Like
Okay, great.
I highly recommend them. Yeah.
I'd say one of my favorite probably my favorite streaming thing that we're on. But okay, and what else? I got so I was in Chicago at Exotica this weekend. I'll have footage from that, interviews with
cool.
huge porn stars and stuff. And you saw the intro, Ebony Mystique, which is Frankie MacDonald's favorite porn star. We talked to her, and I told her about Frankie too. So, but we'll have new footage up with that. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm not probably doing any shows till like fall. I'm probably just chilling out like all summer in a pool bar. So I'm probably just hanging out. But I think fall I'll be back to it. And our 24-hour streams.
Well, we've been talking about doing a comedy tour, so we'll be working. You know, that's gonna be
after this stream. I got a couple things to tell you about some stuff like that. But
okay,
so like some crazy shit. I just don't announce it to people yet. But yeah, no. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you guys spending your Tuesday night doing this. I know you could be doing anything, like watching The Simpsons or something, even better. You know, like. but I appreciate you being here and humoring us all. And like it was be a Zoom call without you guys watching, so I appreciate you. And a lot of my high school friends chimed in today. That doesn't normally happen. Like that's pretty cool. A lot of guys I haven't talked to in like 20 years. Yeah, that never happens. Usually it's random. Usually marketing's random. And like today, I think it's because I went on Facebook. I put it on Facebook, so a lot of people actually knew while this was awesome seeing that. And I'm gonna get out of here and go eat a bunch.
Okay.
Eat my second dinner probably.
Have a good rest of your night, guys. Thanks again.
Right, have a great night. Bye-bye.
The Anthony Rogers Show.
So this next song is our biggest song we ever released. It was the first single off of our first record called Bottom of a Bottle. And it was by far the most successful tune. And, it's kind of propped up my career for 20 years now. So as tired of playing it as I am, I appreciate it and what it's done for us. And there's a whole bunch of people that song reached that most of our other music hasn't. So, and we also, I re-recorded it as an acoustic version on an all acoustic kind of sessions EP that I released in, I believe it's 2018. And I think it turned out really cool. So it comes across acoustically pretty well. And, figured I'd jam it out here today for you.
Myself, is something wrong with you? Girlfriend told me need some time alone to deal with issues. Something makes me carry on. Difficult to understand why you always wanna fly. Do it for the drugs. Call me and ask me how I make it through the day. I'm always falling. Guess it's just God's way of making me pay. Something makes me carry on. Difficult to understand why you always wanna fight. Do it for the drugs. Do it just to feel right.
do it for the judge.